Patriots did to the Bengals that following week was ridiculous. 5 years ago, Tom Brady was still the quarterback and Bill Belichick was still the coach. 5 years ago, the Patriots lost to the Chiefs and they were on to Cincinnati. Tom Brady threw for 292 yards that game, put up 2 touchdowns, and the Patriots had their best game of the year. It was their second highest scoring game of the season. They had 3 defensive takeaways and 1 defensive touchdown. Now, they're going into Cincinnati again, and guess what they did that season? They went on to win the Super Bowl in 2014. And while I don't think that that's going to happen again this year, I do think that we are about to see the sequel today of what happened 5 years ago. The Bengals have the 31st ranked defense and the 31st ranked scoring offense. So if I were you, I'd listen to Tom's tweet. They are certainly on to Cincinnati, and he's going to have a heck of a game. So obviously start the Patriots defense, but if I were you, I'd also start Tom Brady. Take him off that bench, pull him off that waiver wire, and play him. You'll thank me later. Hey, Justin, we're on to Cincinnati. Start the show.
Big welcome to NFL Fantasy League One, presented by Geico. Marcus Grant, Graham Barfield, of course, you just met. Taylor Ricciardi, I am your host, and Commissioner Adam Rank, the only person qualified to lead this rogues gallery of fantasy superstars. Are we on to Cincinnati, everybody?
We are on to Cincinnati.
Do you think the Bengals front office just dropped a loud F-bomb when Belichick said that last week?
Come on.
Like, really? We're doing this again? Oh, come on.
Like, why are we the ones that have to play them after the Chiefs?
Why do we have to get punished all the time?
That was not a mistake.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. All right, let's take a look at our playoff board here. It is semifinal week, and of course, Team FaZe Clan will be going up against the Oracle, Candace Patton, in this celebrity division. The winner will get $25,000 for their charity. So that's a huge game. And of course, in our experts division, the rank and file representing, the NFL against the fantasy footballers.
No pressure.
The little podcast or whatever. But you know what? I guess they're able to record some things. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Is there some video or something?
Well. Hey, it's us, the highest scoring team of the NFL League One.
Oh, that's right. That was us.
The most points. Let me double check. Yep, the highest scoring team. Adam Rank, get your bull crap. Oh, I have the most wins.
I beat up some inferior competition.
I'm the commissioner. I set up an easy schedule for myself, but
Score more, Rank. Here's the deal. We finally face each other. We all
we did last week. We faced each other.
Well, I said finally, but
and you lost last week.
We won last week.
Yeah.
Mom, I lost Mike Evans. Mike Evans is gone. Look, Mike Evans hurts our quarterback. Our quarterback doesn't even need a thumb right now. Like he just saw that sucker off. Jameis Winston could do whatever he wants. Against you, I don't want to say it's going to be easy because you're a great competitor. But we're so good that it's going to be easy.
You're the highest scoring team. Adam Rank, next week. I cannot wait for all the excuses to come pouring in. From poor woe is me, it's Adam's stinky face Rank.
There was an injury.
My mom never loved me.
The Super Bowl tickets are ours. I expect them you can ship them now. You don't have to wait for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We all know what's going to happen, okay?
Heavy is the head
that wears
the plastic
crown. All right. We look forward to it. I look forward to slapping you soon, metaphorically, physically. It's going to be a great time. The fantasy footballers are taking down the NFL League One. It's inevitable.
Well, you know what's amazing is that sometimes you'll look back at a WrestleMania from 10 years ago and be like, oh, I can't remember that person being in the main event. That's exactly how you will feel about the fantasy footballers. I am a legend in this industry. You guys are a couple fly-by-nights, mom-and-pop operations, so enjoy your time in the sun. But once again, you're going to be eliminated, and we'll move on, and I will go on to the championship round. All right, enough about that.
I was just wondering what family fun center they got those crowns at. Like how many tickets did they win?
How many
playing
tokens?
skee ball did they get to get those
Party
crowns?
City or dollar store, most likely.
They
It's a dollar
they
store.
broke the budget.
On your desk.
They broke the budget.
Real crowns.
I've got
Look at them trying to compete with
I've got I don't want to say a car sponsor, but I was gifted a car for winning a league one time. Let's take a look at the consolation bracket, because this is the thing. Our consolation bracket, because we still have competitions going on. MG Unit will be going up against Hollywood Inc. And of course, Taylor Made against Team AEW. What was your side bet? Did you come up with a side bet?
Not yet.
What is wrong with? What are you going to do? Come up with it like 3 weeks from now?
You've got,
now that
you've
I've
got about
won,
20 minutes.
You got about 20 minutes.
Okay, I'll come up with
Yeah.
one. I don't want to get another ice bath though.
Well, there it is.
Taylor still has
It's so
nightmares.
If
much
Taylor
pressure
does
now.
not
2
beat
months,
Team
we're 2 months
AEW,
into winter. I
she's
can't do
going
it.
to get iced.
Inside.
She just
I'll
said.
get iced inside.
Taylor just said, there it is. Taylor's going to get iced if she does not win.
It was
And
so
you
cold
guys-
last time. I had to go back to the news desk. I was chattering, like praying that there was going to be no breaking news. As I'm sitting there, I'm like, ugh.
Well, it's the NFL. There's never
And
any
he was
breaking
sitting
news.
upstairs just.
Hot chip
floating.
challenge for you guys, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, me and Hollywood Inc. I believe me and Kimmy Check score the hot chip challenge. So somebody's gonna be, it's getting spicy.
I'd rather do the hot chip challenge than the
That's too
ice
late.
bath.
Well, you already
what kind of
chose to
chips?
be iced.
Uh,
the
the,
hot
the,
chip.
the super
Hold
super
on.
hot chip.
The super duper hot chip.
Okay.
Thanks for watching the show when you're not here. Anyways, let's talk a little start and park some players that we might be apprehensive about playing in this weekend. Since you're wearing the Tom Brady jersey, are you starting or parking Julian Edelman?
I would have to play Julian Edelman today. Out of all
So
games.
start him?
To start him? Did I
Start
say
or park?
start?
You said play him.
I'm definitely
but
gonna
it's start or
I'm gonna-
park.
okay, well, I'm starting Julian Edelman today.
you.
Out of all days, going up against this Bengals defense that's ranked 31st. If Tom Brady needs a game to bounce back, this is going to be the one that he's going to do. I'm certainly going to start Julian Edelman today.
No way you can bench Julian Edelman this week. No way.
So you can park him?
Yeah, you cannot park him. Right.
There
My
you go.
bad. Sorry.
Goodbye. It's
But
only
no.
week 15.
We didn't know this lingo.
I mean, this is one of our favorite segments.
This is one of our we've actually done this segment.
well, I can't keep up because every
So-
week it's a different segment, but we claim they're all our favorites.
That's the joke.
I don't get it.
That's of
It's
course
not
not.
funny.
Anyways, Amari Cooper. What do we think, Marcus?
I think we are. I may be parking Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a tough matchup against the Rams. The Cowboys have just been sputtering lately, and I feel like Michael Gallup has been the guy who really has prospered. I know Amari Cooper had a big game last week, but a lot of that came in garbage time. I don't have a high level of confidence in this Cowboys offense right now.
It's come kind of quietly, but Michael Gallup has actually tied Amari Cooper for targets in the last month.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cooper's going to see Ramsey today. I don't know if you can. I mean, you would have to have some pretty good receivers to be able to park
True.
Cooper. That's the problem.
Right.
You'd have to have some.
Who would you
really
rather have, Gallup or Cooper going today?
Gallup,
I might lean
think.
Gallup,
I think
yeah.
I'd lean
I might
Gallup
lean
over
Gallup.
Cooper this week.
Don't you think that Tom Brady wishes that he had this problem, where he's deciding between
what's
throwing it
great
to Amari
receiver?
Cooper or Michael Gallup?
The only option he has is Edelman. That's
Right.
it.
And James White out of the backfield.
Just dump offs, straight dump offs.
A little bit of a dump off. What about in Carolina, Tyler Lockett for the Seattle Seahawks? I think obviously, the
Start.
Carolina Panthers aren't a great matchup, but is the volume going to be there?
That's the concern always with the Seahawks team is if they build a lead with the run and Chris Carson this week against this terrible Panthers front seven, which very well could happen. I don't know how often they're going to let Russell Wilson drop back to pass. I'm parking Tyler Lockett in some leagues this week. I think he's kind of outside the top 25 this week, and it's just the volume. The volume has not been there for Seattle. They're going to throw it to Metcalf too. They'll spread their targets out to Hollister as well. Lockett is not going to be the target hog in this offense today, and like we mentioned, if the game script gets out of hand, it won't
I'm
look
just
good.
so scared to quit Tyler Lockett.
I know I
I know.
can't quit Tyler
I'm
Lockett.
so scared to do
no
that.
way.
He carries the same ceiling in every matchup because he can
Right.
beat any defense. It's just the volume. He might literally only see 4 or 5 targets today.
Speaking of defense, what about the Vikings defense this week in Los Angeles, Dignity Health
Sports Park.
Sports Park?
Yeah.
You don't just go in there and win.
No.
The Packers found that out. So what do we do with the Vikings defense?
That home field advantage.
Yeah,
over
I don't know. I think I park them though. I mean, not because I don't think they're going to flop necessarily. I just think they're going to be average, right? Like the Chargers will do just enough, and so the Vikings give you like a 3 or a 4 or something like that. I think, there's some other streaming options that are out there. Somebody asked me about the Seahawks versus the Vikings. I would rather have, Seattle this week against Kyle Allen.
Oh, yeah.
I just think the Vikings will give you just an average number, and there's some better options there.
Yeah,
for
that
you.
secondary could get torched today with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. All they're good receivers too. I'm parking them as well.
Yeah, because I'm starting Mike Williams in a league, and I'm hoping that he's going to get some deep shots there.
He had a big game last week.
Yeah, he finally broke that touchdown skid got onto the board. So hopefully there's some positive regressions there. But what about the tight end position in Jack Doyle?
After his miserable week last week, I think we can go back to him this week. I think he's back in the top 10 fold just as the nature of a position. There's actually quite a few good tight end plays this week, but it does not look like T.Y. Hilton is going to come back. He's pushing to play on Monday night, but it doesn't sound too great for his status. And if he misses again, Jack Doyle will for sure operate as the Colts' #1 target in a game where, I mean, frankly, the Colts should have to throw to keep up with the Saints.
Absolutely.
Not to mention that they don't have any targets. They don't have anyone to throw.
That's the guy.
It's Zach
Not to mention that, and
Pascal
also for
and
anybody
Doyle.
that needs a tight end, there's just nobody on the market to get. So if you do have Jack Doyle, he's definitely somebody that you need to start.
Absolutely. All right, that was Start and Park, and time now for Fantasy Insurance presented by Geico. And here are some of the players who have you covered for this week. Graham, what do you think about Robert Woods?
Oh, yeah. Robert Woods is back, baby. He's got 4 straight fantastic games of 90 or more yards, and he's kind of reasserted himself here as the Rams' #1 tight end. Over the last month, he has seen 47 targets to Cooper Kupp's 23. And today, I think this Rams-Cowboys game is going to shoot up, and you'll see another great game for Bobby Trees.
Marcus, what about Christian Kirk?
Yeah, you know, I like Christian Kirk simply for the fact that I think the Cardinals might end up either playing from behind or at least trying to keep pace with the Browns' offense in this one. I mean, partially because that Arizona defense is so bad. They give up yards, they give up points. And even though I'm not all that excited about Kyler Murray potentially, I still think he can get the football out to Christian Kirk, and I think the volume of targets will be there for him.
Taylor, which Browns running back do you want to play?
I love Nick Chubb. He leads the league in rushing yards per game with just under 100. He's averaging just under 22 touches a game, which is 5th among running backs. So you know that the volume is always there for Chubb. And he's going up against Arizona Cardinals defense, which, as we know, is a little spotty. I have a feeling that Chubb is going to have a breakout game today.
And I will stick with a running back as well and go with Aaron Jones against the Chicago Bears, although it could be a little bit more difficult for him this week. The Bears will welcome Akeem Hicks back to the lineup. When you look at the Bears, I know a lot of people love to point out, like, hey, they've been giving up a lot of production to the running backs over the last couple of weeks. You're like, yeah, that was because Hicks was on IR, but now he's back. But still, when you think about the way that the Packers offense is going to have to attack the Bears this week, they're going to have to do it on the ground, especially with the weather conditions being what they are. It's going to be very cold. So I'm going to go with Aaron Jones because I don't have any other choice. And that was Fantasy Insurance presented by Geico. Now coming up, we're going to break out one of our favorite segments. It's time for Stop Me if you think you've heard this one before.
But we haven't. But
we
it's
haven't.
still our favorite
Anyways,
segment.
you're watching NFL Fantasy League One presented by Geico. And now we have it. Time now for 15 minutes to kickoff, presented by Geico. Here are your notable actives and inactives. Jameis Winston, who will be running the team for the fantasy footballers, is active today, as is Derrick Henry. Quite a scare for him because of his hamstring injury. Will Fuller is active, as is Julian Edelman, who we talked about earlier. And hey,
Desi,
Albert Wilson,
everybody's favorite fourth-round pick.
Fourth-round pick of Desi Banks. Albert Wilson is active and ready to go this week. Desi cut him a long time ago. And Josh Jacobs expected to play this week with a shoulder injury. He is probable. He is probably going to be in your lineup. And that was 15 minutes to kickoff, presented by Geico. Time now for one of our favorite segments. It's called Stop Me If You Think That You've Heard This. No, it's Stop Me If You've Heard This one. I'm getting the Morrissey or Smith's lyric involved in there. Stop me if you've heard this before. It's time for a bold prediction, and we are going to start with Marcus.
Stop me if you've heard this one before, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have a top 10 fantasy defense this week. You know, what's kind of wild is actually, like, coming into week 15, the Bucs were the defense 13. They were just a couple points behind the Vikings, and they were actually ahead of the Bears in terms of fantasy defenses. And now they get to face David Blau, who had one really good quarter, maybe just two really good drives against the Bears. And since then, he's pretty much looked like what you would expect from a third-string quarterback. He throws interceptions, he's getting sacked. So I think the Bucs can get after him a little bit, maybe make some plays and you know, rack up some fantasy points this week.
And I appreciate you pointing out that David Blau had two good drives. That was it.
It was maybe two good throws. That's it. I mean,
yeah, and beyond that, he hasn't really done much.
Yeah. And everybody's like, "Oh, is he better than Trubisky?" No.
Love the
In any event, what about you, Taylor?
Sorry, I just had to realize that you're back on the Trubisky train. I forgot. So I was confused when you just said a compliment.
From last week?
From the rest of the season.
2 weeks ago,
minus last week. Stop me if you've heard this before, but we've been waiting for it all season, and Odell Beckham Jr. is finally going to have a good game, a huge game today against the Arizona Cardinals. He couldn't be in a better situation to have a breakout game, which we've all been waiting for again all season. Arizona is averaging 40 fantasy points per game to wide receivers. That's second most in the NFL. They're allowing 3 offensive touchdowns per game. That's the 4th most in the NFL. And they're allowing 311 receiving yards per game, which is the most in the NFL. 2 receivers. Odell has been chomping at the bit to have his big game. I have a feeling it's going to be today against the Cardinals, when they're going to potentially try and either keep him in Cleveland, or this could be one of its final games in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a miracle if you've gotten this far with Odell Beckham Jr. on your roster.
I think that you'd have had to at some point tried to trade for him and get some value maybe after
There's
you thought
no
that he was
value, and nobody wants him.
But
And I've tried.
That's what I'm saying. You probably, you have him?
I have him in a league, and I'm in the semifinals today, going up against Lamar Jackson, so I feel really good about that. Yeah, I have CMC, and I have the Bucs defense, so who knows? But you also like a member of the Cleveland Browns.
I do, and a lot of for the same reasons that Taylor just mentioned, but Baker Mayfield is going to finish this week as a top 5 fantasy quarterback. The week has finally come. The Cardinals are just getting gashed through the air, and they've been doing this all season long. In fact, they've given up a QB1 performance in 10 of 13 games, and 2 of the 3 quarterbacks to fail against them was Daniel Jones, and is only in his 3rd career start, and Devlin Hodges last week. I mean, this team is bottom of the league in fantasy points, bottom of the league in yards per attempt allowed, bottom of the league in touchdowns allowed. It's going to be really hard for Baker to fail today, especially with OBJ looking great too.
Why are you doing this to our CP?
Sorry, Justin.
Justin, our CP is.
Sorry, Justin.
We're
We love you.
helping him. We're
It's
telling
gonna
him
happen.
that his team
You're
is going to have
helping
a great
him by
game.
building up.
You're giving him false hope.
Have you ever heard
No,
the
it's
song
not false
Buttercup?
hope.
Because you're
Yes, I
building up.
have.
Have you really?
Just to let me
no-
down.
Build me up,
You mess
build
me
up,
around.
Buttercup, baby.
Okay,
just
first
to
of all,
let-
that's an ASCAP violation. Don't. Too many bars.
Because it was so good
Too
that
many-
it sounded just like it would have been a
You can only
it would
hum
have been
the
a
tune on this show,
violation.
okay?
All right, we've got a fine to pay, but stop me if you've heard this one before. But Mitch, by God, Trubisky will outscore that washed, peaked in high school Aaron Rodgers today. Yep, absolutely. I have no qualms about this one. He is going to go out there and absolutely crush. Actually, I do anticipate this being a little bit of a more of a low-scoring game. And one of the reasons I've really been encouraged by what Mitch has done over the last couple of weeks is that he's running the ball again. We saw it at the beginning of last year. One of the things that made him most effective, right there, running the football. And after Harrison Smith hit him and busted his shoulder last year. It looked like he was a little apprehensive about running the football, and even coming into this season, he wasn't doing it as much, but now that he's running the football, it's helped him out, and I think he ends up doing it.
I feel like this is all playing into your Aaron Jones theory, too, here, right?
Maybe.
Like you want Aaron Jones to run the ball, less Aaron Rodgers.
I feel that, yeah.
I see you working.
I feel like it's going to be like a 17-15, though. It's not like Mitch is going to go out there and score 30 points or anything like that.
I think that game's going to go under. I think it's going to be really low scoring, too.
Yeah,
I'm
so I
with you
think
on
it's.
that.
But I think like at some point I'll take a hollow victory of like, he scored more points. It was 10-9 or whatever it was. But listen, we got to have hope, like our CP doesn't have for the Browns. But coming up, it'll be our Watchmen, and we'll be answering some of your questions. You are watching NFL Fantasy League One, presented by Geico. Time now for 15 for 15, presented by Geico. And let's get to some of the fans' questions to we're a show to the people. We're going to start off with Baller Rip, Hunter Henry or Tyler Higbee?
I think I like Higgs this week.
I'm with Higbee, too. Like
I
that.
like Higgs.
I like Higbee.
Brian wants to know Raheem Mostert or Christian Kirk?
Ooh, I know this one's really close. I'm kind of into Kirk.
Okay. I was going to say
I feel like
Mostert,
that
but
is his
I'm not
go-to
mad at
target.
it.
Yeah.
It's the only guy that he's really consistently always going to. I'd go with Kirk, too.
All right. John wants to know Cortland Sutton, David Montgomery, or Patrick Laird?
Cortland Sutton, David Montgomery, or Patrick Laird? I think I'm going to go. Look, I've been on the D-Mont train all year.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to stay with David Montgomery.
I'm going to go with Sutton
I'm
just
gonna go
because
with
the
Sutton, too.
upside, but it's kind of crazy that Patrick Laird is an actual play this week. Like, he's an actual play.
Ray wants to know Dede Westbrook or Brashad Perryman?
Dede.
Dede.
Dede. Phil wants to know Jimmy Garoppolo or Patrick Mahomes?
I might go Jimmy G.
Unfortunately, I'm
might
not
go
going
Jimmy
Jimmy G.
G.
I'm going to go Mahomes.
Where are you going?
I think I might go Jimmy G too. I
my
guess the
Well, how are you
Falcons.
not taking?
my
how are you
God,
not
this is
taking your
music to my
guy?
ears.
No, she's saying
I'm not trying to be biased here. I'd still go Mahomes.
I really want Mahomes to have a huge game, but that snow and the wind there.
The
Kinda,
wind more than the snow.
he's had
yeah.
three consecutive poor performances, Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
Scott Withers, so I think the answer there is Jimmy G. Scott Witherspoon wants to know Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray?
Dak all
We
day.
love Dak this, right?
love Dak
Anthony
today.
wants to know Debo or Philip Lindsay.
Ooh, I might go Phil Lindsay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
against
Philip
the Chiefs'
Lindsay.
run
They're
defense.
gonna they're gonna stick with the run in that game.
Orange and Brew wants to know Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson.
Ooh,
It might be Jameis.
that's tough.
Jameis.
Even with a busted thumb.
Jameis.
Jameis. And there's a reason why. We'll get that when we go to our Watchmen. Evan wants to know Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen, or Zach Pascal.
I'm going to go Thielen.
Yeah, I think I'm Thielen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Brad Keller wants to know Marlon Mack or Darius Slayton.
Darius
Slayton.
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 Which I've been having a hard time because I wanted to play Slayton, and you're telling me I shouldn't play Slayton.
You got
said
Allen Robinson.
You got Allen Robinson.
Yeah, play
Settle
Allen
down.
Robinson.
You know
Jesse
what?
wants to know Tyler
Two
Boyd,
back-to-back
Miles Sanders,
games.
or Austin Hooper.
Miles Sanders.
Miles
Awesome.
Sanders. Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders is a great play this weekend.
Yeah.
Boston Scott might be more involved there, though.
They can both be involved. They can both score. Brent Morgan wants to know Devontae Parker, A.J. Brown, or Emmanuel Sanders.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I think I'd go Parker, but that's
Parker.
an amazing problem to have. No Janoris Jenkins for the
Coming
Giants
off that
today.
big contract.
Okay, Kyle, the last one. Darren Fells or Kyle Rudolph?
Rudolph.
I guess.
I
Even
can't
with
trust
Dylan
him.
back.
Rudolph.
Yeah, but I just can't trust the Texans tight end. Like,
Jordan
moment-
Thomas will see targets too.
yeah, I can't trust the Texans tight
I
end.
go Rudolph.
I can't.
All right, Kyle Rudolph is the answer. And that was 15 for 15 presented by Geico. Time now for our Week 15 Watchmen. And I believe Marcus, you're going to kick us off. And we're going to answer one of those questions before when somebody was asking about Russell Wilson. Why
Yeah.
would we avoid Russell Wilson?
Because Chris Carson
There it
is
is.
going to be a thing this week. Yeah, Chris Carson he's back in the workhorse role now that Rashad Penny is on injured reserve. So he should get a ton of opportunities. The Panthers have one of the worst, if not the worst, rushing defense in the National Football League. They're giving up about 30 fantasy points per game to running backs. So this could be a game where the Seahawks just lean heavily on Chris Carson to get a win.
if he scores less than 50 points, I would be shocked. Taylor, who are you looking at?
I am looking at Drew Lock. He's coming off back-to-back wins. Nobody really saw this coming, and I'm looking at him not because I think that this is going to be one of his better games, even though he did improve from game 1 to game 2 in passing yards and touchdowns in a lot of categories. But he is going to be in some tough weather conditions, so this is his biggest test yet. I'm just curious to see how he performs and what he's going to be able to do out there. He's somebody that I'm going to be keeping an eye on all day.
Graham?
I'm watching you, O.J. Howard, after a disappointing season, disappointing us all year. He's come back to life with 2 solid games in back-to-back weeks, and with Mike Evans now on injured reserve with that hamstring injury, I kind of expect Howard to operate as the Bucs' number 2 receiver. Detroit cannot stop the pass, and if Howard gets a slight uptick in targets with Evans' absence, I think he could be a really solid streaming play for you this week.
I'm going to go with Mike Williams of the Los Angeles Chargers. Last year scored 12 touchdowns, did not get his first touchdown until last week. So we hope that there is positive regression coming as it goes back to the mean. And this is a pretty good opportunity against the Minnesota Vikings, who not only have had trouble stopping teams through the air, but where they've really had trouble is giving up those huge chunk plays. So this is an opportunity. You feel like if they're going to try to shut down Keenan Allen, there's a chance that they will try to stretch the defense deep. Phillip Rivers will be throwing some of those YOLO balls going to Mike Williams, and it's super important because I'm starting him this week because of all the injuries that I have.
Yeah. I heard the Tampa Bay Rays were interested in O.J. Howard as a corner outfielder.
Yeah, that's
He did catch a fly ball in the
He
playoffs.
caught a fly ball one-handed,
did.
why not?
He did. All right, just to reiterate though, so we're doing hot chip challenge for you.
Hot chip challenge for me and
Taylor's
Kimmy
gonna
Chapman.
get
I
iced.
want to jump on the hot chip bandwagon.
So Taylor
I love
is
the hot
going-
chip challenge.
so
Taylor is
I'd
going
rather
to
be
get
hot
iced.
than cold.
We can bring
She
an
does
extra one if
not-
you just want to
I
eat
would
one.
love to do the
She
hot
does
chip
not
challenge.
be Team AEW.
I'm not doing an ice bucket challenge.
Yeah, you're
that
doing
was
that
torture.
again. That's what we did. Sorry, you agreed to it.
No, I
and
said I
that's-
didn't want to
No,
do
no,
that,
no,
and then
that's-
you're like,
you
yes,
said-
wonderful, let's do that.
That's exactly what you said. And so you're going to get iced. You're going to have to do what you don't want to do. It's not like you lose. You have to pay a punishment.
Oh, please don't throw me in that briar patch.
Yeah, right? That's the way that it goes. I'm
Or
sorry.
you could be like me and just be so bad you didn't even get a consolation game.
And if Team AEW wins, then,
Yeah, see, look
then
at me.
I
I
will
was in
have
third
to
place.
be, then you know what? Then I will have to go cut a promo on Dynamite or something like that. I think that would be fair.
Oh, bummer.
That would be
Funny
bad.
how it works out in your
You would
benefit.
hate that, wouldn't
Hey,
you?
we
Oh
want
my
to thank
gosh, if
everybody
I-
for
if I
checking
lose,
out
I get an
NFL
ice cream
Fantasy League
sundae.
1. Check us out at 7:45 p.m. Eastern tomorrow before the Monday Night Football game with the Saints and the Colts. Thank you so much to Geico. We will see you Monday night.